Well, welcome, mate.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Thanks for jumping on the show, mate.
I'm glad we can make it happen.
You're busy, mate. You're a busy man.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Mate, what's been happening with you? You just recently, you won the 2024 FMG Muscle Pro Australia Championships.
Yeah.
Which is a big fucking thing.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that, mate.
It was my first ever pro show after winning my pro card last year. Originally, I wasn't planning on competing this year as I had a few health issues and a few injuries that I needed to overcome. And I was planning on putting a little bit more time and effort into my personal training business because I'd only just started up. I think I've only been doing it for a year. So after I won the competition last year, I decided, well, I'll get back into the fitness industry. I started that up. So I thought I could have spent the year getting on top of my health, building my business, finishing my diploma, and then having an off season somewhere as well. However, then I found out the show that I really, really wanted to do, which is next year. It's the World Championships. And considering FMG split off from the old WBFF, with WBFF, their World Championship show was always held in the States, in Vegas. FMG splitting away and taking a majority of the decent pros with them. Their first World Championship shows is actually going to be in the Gold Coast in September. And that was the one I really, really, really wanted to do.
Yeah.
However, I didn't find out until maybe 25 weeks before the show that I've just done that I needed to qualify for that one because I'd won my pro card in WBFF, not FMG. So I had to at least do one FMG show to qualify. So I had to basically make a decision. Am I going to do this Australian show or I'm going to do the Bali show, which is actually this weekend? And logistically speaking, it's a lot easier to do the Gold Coast show, but it just gave me less time. So I said the next day I had to start at kickoff prep and start chipping away towards the Gold Coast show, which is very, very interesting considering that I spent up until that time not really dieting or training consistently because of my health and my injuries. So to make it there, I was extremely proud of myself, and then to take it away with something special.
What was the health injuries?
Oh, my blood work didn't come back too well. So the liver and kidney enzyme count were just extremely high. That's something I've always, especially the liver, not so much the kidneys, but the liver, my enzyme count has always been high, even as a kid. So it's something I've really been sort of aware and trying to manage, despite the fact that, even when I was 18 and in the rugby league culture, I've never been a big drinker. So I think just naturally my liver count has always been high, even without the effects of, say, drugs or alcohol. So I've always been conscious of that. Last year when I did have all my blood markers and health markers taken, were way too high. So I had to, knock back the training, knock back the food intake because I was eating a lot. I think my off season or my maintenance calories were sitting around 6,500 calories at the time.
Wow.
So I was knocking back a lot of food.
Yeah, that's a lot of food. Holy shit, you're like the Rock.
Wish.
Seen how much he eats.
A lot.
Yeah.
He's a big boy though.
He's a big boy. So tell me about your journey into the FMG Muscle Pro, mate. So how does that work? You said it transitioned. It used to be called WBFF.
Yes.
Yep. So is this internationally or is it just only in Australia?
No, it's internationally.
Yeah.
So there's been a few international shows before the Australian show. I think the first one, I think maybe the one in London, so in the UK. Then there was one in Vegas, or not Vegas, Los Angeles. I have a feeling there was another one. Oh, there was one in Dubai, but that was after the Gold Coast show. But no, it is international, which is really, really good. So what I think has happened is, I'm not too sure about all the politics of it, but the Australian promoters have decided to pull away from the American WBFF, the American side of it, and they, I'm assuming, got in contact with other promoters and other pros and went, hey, we're stepping away. You're a pro in this. We will offer you a pro card in this. Would you like to switch over? And I think a large majority of individuals are actually keen because in the WBFF, I think the Australian promoters, Pauline and Ari, did build up a reputation of putting on the better shows, having the better experience at the show, other than, say, ones over in America. I think that's basically the gist that I kind of got from it, because it was my first ever WBFF show coming from the IFBB. So I didn't know too much about the WBFF until I kind of competed, and even on the day I still had no idea. But after the night that I won, I had to stay back, and they basically offered me the pro card, and then they said, look, this is what's happening with the brand. We're going to not rebrand the WBFF. We're going to start our new brand, and we are offering pro cards for those who originally hold pro cards in the WBFF if you want to jump over.
Yes. It was a men's classic or physique? What was your category?
So I didn't know where I fell. So at the time, BBFF had 3 men's categories. It was fitness, physique, and muscle model. So fitness model, physique model, muscle model. So the physique model was the newer of the category, because there was a lot of individuals who were too big to fit the fitness criteria, but didn't want to take it to the next level to fit the muscle criteria, because that's a lot more training, a lot more food, a lot more other stuff. So they created that one in the middle. And because I've never competed in that federation before, I wasn't too sure where I fell. So I chose to do physique and muscle model. I was more in favor of muscle model because it's the bigger category. Like, in terms of physically, it was the bigger category. And I'm, obviously being the boy, the bigger you are, the better.
Yeah. And this federation too separates itself from other organizations. What's different about this one? Because there's so many different federations you could do. You've got ICN and NAB, I think it is.
ABN. Yeah.
ABN.
Right.
Yeah. But what separates the organizations? Why choose this particular federation?
Well, I've been competing since I was, I would say, 22. Yeah, I've been competing since I was 22. I started off in AMB. I did 2 shows there, then went into IFBB. Then they split to IFBB Pro League and IFBB Elite. I did an IFBB Elite show. Then the next year I did the IFBB Pro League show. And then the year after that, I moved up here and did the WBFF show. Something that really put FMG apart is definitely the experience of the athlete. You have what's now called media night. So you get to get dressed. You're at the end of your peak week, the night before or 2 nights before competition, you need to get dressed up with your partner. You get gifted I think this year we'll gifted a Faction Labs goodie bag, and it was packed.
Yeah.
Absolutely packed. And that's something I've never experienced with the other federations. You get there, you have like your little drawstring bag with 1 or 2 samples and a shaker. But you'll have, people walking around interviewing, you've got a camera on you. You've got all these photographers that are taking photos of you getting dressed up. So I was there with the missus, so me and her dolled up, dressed on this red carpet, which none of the other federations do. You may have a weigh-in, but you rock up, you weigh in, your number, and you go back. So definitely the experience for the athlete is a little bit more showy. It's a little bit more red carpet, if that makes sense, which is really fun. Because, if you've busted your ass, you've been dieting for weeks, months, however long you need to diet for. And, you just have a little bit of a night where you get to get dressed up, you get the content from the night as well. And it kind of alleviates that stress, that pressure. The experience backstage as well. I know in the other federations that I've competed at as a bodybuilder, you sit back there, you sit to yourself, you stick to your crew. You're in that sort of fuck everyone mentality. I hate you. I'm not even competing against you, but fuck you. Whereas my first experience backstage last year, I took that in because I thought that was, because coming across from the IFBB the year before, that's what you did. You sit there, your footy on, you may have your coach there, you pump up bands, your rice cakes, you don't talk to other competitors, they don't talk to you. Whereas backstage, it was, for the guys, it's all camaraderie.
Yeah.
Even the guys that you're competing against, the guys that you're not competing against, you have the male pros coming in and check on you. Hey, bro, is there anything I can do? You're good. So it actually kind of allowed me to put my guard down a little bit. I even remember I had a few guys asking me if I could help them with their posing. I'm like, just an amateur, bro. This is the first show here as well, man. So you get a few guys asking you, when do you think I should eat? So it kind of really brought my guard down to sort of witness the camaraderie that actually goes backstage not only with the pros, but with on the amateur level as well, which is really, really nice. It made me take a step back and think, shit, like I've been sitting in the corner for the first hour and a half, really music on dark, foot over my head. I must have seemed like a really arrogant son of a bitch, but that's because what I was used to with other federations.
Yeah.
And then the stage experience as well, which is fantastic. So last year I competed in two different categories, and you get equal time for each category that you go to. So whereas before in other federations, I've done more than one category, and you don't get to do a second posing routine. As soon as they've seen you once, that's it, they've seen you. So you may have done, say bodybuilding first, but you really want to do classic, but they've already seen you as a bodybuilder. So the judges aren't really going, oh, we've seen you. We don't need to judge you again. So, and that was really, really nice as well. All the stage time in the world. And you kind of feel like, well, I've paid all this money to do two categories, even though the second category is always a little bit discounted, but it's not like you walk, okay, now go back. It's, no, you have all the time in the world. You've paid just like everybody else, which is a really good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the current pros, this is something that will always stick to me, is after I won, I got off backstage, I took the photos and stuff backstage. And then as I was heading back up to the change rooms, I had all the male pros who were about to go on just congratulate me, shake my hand, give me a big hug, welcome me. Literally, some of them said, welcome to the family. This is going to be amazing. So happy for you. And then a couple of days later, I was added to the boys group chat that they've got on Instagram, and then was invited to a group photo shoot at Empire Fitness, which I was, this is pretty cool. Like, this is definitely what I didn't expect, because a lot of the time you think bodybuilding, it's solitaire. It's very solitary. It's just you and your team, your coach, your partner, but it's not you socializing with the other pros, because, some of them you may have to stand next to.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I've done one bodybuilding show, and it's a very individualized sport. You're in there, but it's quite daunting, because you're looking around, you're thinking, fuck, I feel out of place here. You don't feel you feel uncomfortable. But it's interesting, you were saying with this federation, they really do go above and beyond. They make that extra bit of effort to just try and make the athletes feel a bit more at home.
Yeah. They definitely put the spotlight on the athlete.
Yes,
which is amazing. And like, I know there's other federations where they've kind of got a time limit with the venue. So if something goes overtime, they're going overtime, they're trying to rush everybody on stage, whereas they've got the venue for the night, I'm pretty sure, or, obviously they've got to rent it. But you'd have, I think last year, I didn't walk out until close to midnight. Close to midnight. After all, I had to stay back and accept my pro status and my award and stuff like that. So that was roughly around 11:30, because the show was so big.
Yeah, there's so many athletes.
They had the pro show first, and they had the amateurs, then you have a break, then you come back to the night, the night show, which is really good. So you don't feel rough.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you kicked out of backstage and you're not ready. You just, you got plenty of time there. Which is really good.
And is there different sort of posing routines? Like, when I looked at WBFF back in the days, like, I saw that some of the men's categories, they wore formal suits, and what's the go with that?
That with FMG has now been scrapped.
Yeah.
I think they did a consensus once they've moved from WBFF to FMG. The guys have gone, we're not really a huge fan. Some were. Not really a huge fan of the suits, because obviously you do your comparison round, you do then the night show, then you kind of get compared, stuff like that. 80% of your marks kind of get done up. You go, have your break, you go back out, you do another comparison round, and you go back, you get dressed up into the suit, and then you get awarded your medal and stuff like that. And then the picture on social media of you accepting your award, your medals and stuff like that, is you in a suit, not showing off your rig. But also, it's kind of a bit of a, I guess some of the guys didn't like it because of that, because they weren't showing their rigs off, at the end when they kind of, hands are raised, you got the medal, you get somebody taking your photo, it's going to be on social media. You're putting on a very expensive suit on top of competition tan.
Yeah. And that shit's just going to leak.
Yeah, so dry cleaning bills, but they did ask around, and a large percentage of the guys said, yeah, we don't actually like wearing the suit.
Yeah.
Some, which is total contrast, because the girls like getting glammed up because they've got their dresses and stuff like that. So with the guys, they've scrapped the nights, what would you call it, the nightwear round, or the suit round.
Yeah.
And it's just, you go out for your individual T-walk, catwalk, then you have your comparisons, then you kind of go back, you'll repeat the process on the night show, which is good because, I think this year, I was done by 6 p.m., which was nice, which is total contrast to the year before. But with the posing itself, there's no real set poses. There is a front pose, but that front pose is very vague. You hit whatever. There is it's not called a most muscular, but your favorite muscle pose. Again, that's very vague. It can be whatever. It could literally be the same as your front pose. With us, they did do our quarter turns, but it's not like a traditional bodybuilding quarter turn where you twist your body. As long as you're facing one way and hitting whatever pose you want to make yourself look good.
Yeah.
Again, then there's the back pose, and then around. And then I think the only one that they've really got that solidified is an ab and thigh pose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the victory like, mates? How did you feel when you got called out?
I was kind of in disbelief because two of the other guys, there's 4 guys in the lineup. 2 of them one was a former champion, and the one who plays second, Chris, he was the 2-time defending champion.
What?
So I went in there just going, okay, I've given up my all. I've only done this for 20 weeks, this prep. I've only been training for 20 weeks. Don't expect too much, but still give it your all. And I was about to step forward for second place after not hearing my name for third. So I went, okay, maybe I'm second. I'm happy with that. Cool, top 2. And then Chris's number was called, and I looked up. Like, I've got a video somewhere where I've got my hands on my hips, and I'm just waiting to hear my number at some stage. And then once Chris's number was called, I looked up to the sky, and I was just thinking, okay, so it's either me or I'm completely off here. And then when they called my number, I collapsed. I fell to the ground. I started crying because this prep was definitely my hardest that I've been through. Not because of the prep process itself, simply because of everything else that I had going on. I had to hit a certain deadline, finishing my diploma remedial massage, which meant for the last 8 weekends of my prep leading up to my show, I was in a classroom. I had to do assignments. I had to do online virtual clinic hours, so massaging people while you've got one of the instructors or assessors on the other side making sure that you don't do anything wrong. Then also working a full-time job, so 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then finishing that, and then going to the gym, and then PTing for 3 or 4 hours a night, and then obviously my weekend work as well. So everything just hit me. I was kind of averaging 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. I had a few people going, like, you're going to run yourself into the ground. And the deeper in prep I went, the more I had to kind of just block that out and ignore it. So when I heard my name and I fell to the ground, it kind of justified because I did put my mental health through. It went through hell, man. Yeah. I even picked up a bad habit coping just with stress, because like it got to that stage where I was so mentally fragile that the smallest thing could just literally unbuckle me for like an hour. So hearing my name kind of justified putting myself through all that physical and mental torture.
It's true, mate. Like, the price of progress is pain. People, when they look at a bodybuilding show, they only just see the end product.
Yeah.
They only just see you up on stage. But I have such admiration and respect for bodybuilders, because you do, mate. You have to put in so much time, effort, preparation to get to where you are, and the sacrifices that you made. Like, before we shot this, you said you were up at like fucking 2 a.m. to just start eating and cooking and getting your meals ready.
Yeah.
What else? Like, the preparation must have been pretty hectic.
It was, but it was obviously the end result was completely justifiable. However, it come down to one of those things. It's that old saying, if you really want it, you'll make it work.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I had to have a look at my situation with this prep, and I was like, okay, well, I start my full-time job at 6. I finish at 2. I get to the gym at 3. I PT from 3:34 onwards, where can I fit my training in? I'm not going to do it at 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. I physically cannot.
No.
I'm total rat shit by the end of that night. I probably won't have the time. And you train in the same gym I work out of, and if you've ever been there between 3 or 2:30 and 4, even though it's still not at its capacity, it's still a bastard to try to get into equipment.
Yeah.
It is heaps. School's just finished. So you got a lot of teenagers in there in groups, and they do take their time. So I have to look at my situation and go, okay, well, I need to make sure that I leave for work by 5:20. Okay. How long do I need to train? An hour and a half. Right. So I take that back. How long does it take me to get up in the morning and get ready? Okay. Plus a little few extra minutes, because obviously, you're a bit tired, you're a bit sluggish in the morning, especially on prep. So I decided I'm more efficient in the morning. And if I physically, I'm more efficient in the morning, but mentally, if I start the day off doing something for myself, then I can take it easy and not feel rushed. Okay, well, you need me to work back, do an extra hour of overtime? No dramas. I can do that. I've already trained this morning. I've got a client that's running late. No dramas. I've already trained. I don't have that time limit upon myself. So I decided I come up with a schedule where I'd get up at 10 to 3 every morning. And then every morning I'd have to weigh myself, do my blood glucose, do my blood pressure. Every Monday I'd have to send in check-in photos to my coach. And just have this morning routine. Then I'd have to eat, throw my food in my bag, make sure I've got my clothes ready. And I'd be leaving the house every day with training bag, food bag, one bag for my cardio clothes and a towel and a change of clothes, one bag for my PT clothes, a towel and change of clothes, another one for my high vis stuff for my warehouse work, again with the full change of clothes and stuff like that. So my boot would be full every day. But it was one of those non-negotiables where it was just normal for me. It's like, I have to do it.
Yes.
This is what I got to do. This is what I want. This is what I got to do. So there was absolutely no excuses.
The commitment, mate, the determination and perseverance, it's pretty fucking incredible. Most people obviously have a day-to-day structure. They get up, go to work, etc. But see, you've got everything on the back burner. You're studying, you're training in the morning. It's a lifestyle, mate. It's 24/7, go, go, go. Hey, yeah. It's incredible. So what about your childhood, mate? How did you transition into bodybuilding? When did you start?
I started when I think it was 22. I kind of got into it. So I grew up playing rugby league. I just absolutely love rugby league. And the reason why I started is, according to my parents, this is back when, you could watch Saturday night footy on Win and not have to pay for Foxtel. I used to sit on my dad's lap and just watch footy with him.
Yeah.
I've been very, very lucky that I come from a family that a lot of them were really, really good with rugby league. There's a few. I've got my uncle who played with the Raiders. He played a handful of first grade games with the Raiders, which was really nice. And my grandfather's cousin and his uncle, I think it's his uncle, they were Dragons Immortals. They played in that back in the day where the Dragons were just won, I think, like 11 grand finals in a row with St. George. So I come from a rugby league background. Started playing rugby league when I was 5, because when I was 4, I was too young. Started playing the under-7s when I was 5, all the way up through to my teenage years, where I was very fortunate to make representative squads, both in school, outside of school. Then transitioned to playing under-20s or Toyota Cup at the time, not Holden Cup. Toyota Cup at the time when I was 19 and 20, then went to New South Wales Cup, which is obviously New South Wales equivalent of Q Cup for the Dragons feeder club. And then the year after that, I didn't get re-signed to New South Wales Cup, so I went back and played a few games for a local club in the Illawarra. And I just kind of thought that it wasn't for me. And at that time, I just started personal training out of a gym. And it basically got to the point where I'd rather be in the gym lifting weights and improving myself physically and then going to get my ass handed to me on a footy field on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. A lot of the time it is Sunday afternoon, which kind of doesn't give you much of a weekend, especially seeing as you can't really do much on a Saturday because you're playing Sunday afternoon, and then Sunday afternoon rolls around, you play. It's all of a sudden 6 p.m. Sunday night, you've got work
Yes.
the next morning. But I started getting fascinated around the world of bodybuilding. I watching YouTube because it was all brand new to me. I just started piecing out of a gym. Everybody's kind of into it. Supplement stores, just watching all that other stuff. And I needed something I was kind of getting over rugby league, and I needed something to shift my focus towards, because I need something to work towards for myself, just to give myself that little bit of peace and clarity. So I still feel like I'm doing something for myself. And it shifted from rugby league to bodybuilding.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think that any teenager that gets into the gym can benefit. And I think we can learn so much from just being under a grueling, heavy set. The gym's taught me heaps, mate. But I mean, what's the gym taught you? I mean, it's obviously shown you discipline and hard work. But what else has it shown you?
It's shown me a lot, but the one thing that I really appreciate is given me a lot of confidence.
Yes.
It's given me a hell of a lot of confidence, because especially my teenage years and my early 20s, I didn't have the most amount of confidence, because I'm 6'2", I'm very tall, but at the time I wasn't filled out. So I found every situation I was in, I'd be a little bit timid or easily intimidated. CDO, being on a train, public transport, going up to Sydney, I have all these big individuals, these scary looking individuals. It kind of goes down, please don't say anything to me. You just always assume the worst. You just, even talking to girls, I couldn't talk to girls. I had absolutely no self-confidence. And being a personal trainer at the start when I was 20, that's not a really good thing to have, because you don't have confidence in yourself. You can't really sell yourself. So once I started filling out, I was kind of, this is going to sound superficial as hell, and I understand it's superficial as hell, but I was starting to kind of get noticed within rooms. Oh, you're looking bigger, you're getting this. And as the compliments built up, so did my confidence, which was really, really nice. Up until a stage where I felt comfortable within myself. So I can't thank the gym enough for that.
Yeah.
But also it's given me discipline. It's given me routine. It's given me a reason to, not that it's I'm not saying this is a bad thing or a dark or a sad thing, but it's given me a reason to kind of get up early in the morning and just go do something. Obviously, being a young kid, being very unsuccessful with girls, it's given me a place where I could go and work out my frustrations, my anger, my sadness, which is absolutely fantastic, because I feel as though, especially in today's day and age with young men, they need a healthy outlet,
Yes,
for their emotions, because I know there's a lot of conjecture, a lot of argument of one side saying, men don't need to show emotion, and one side says they do need to show emotion. I feel as though they do, but in the right way. And I feel as though going to the gym after having my heart ripped out from a girl that I was interested in, that wasn't interested in me, but was interested in my best mate.
yeah,
I felt, okay, well, how am I going to make myself better? How am I going to make sure that doesn't happen to me again? It wasn't F this person. I didn't play the victim. I just went, okay, no worries. How do I make myself better to be more, to be more attractive, or had to make sure that I didn't get my heart ripped out of my chest again. So,
it's interesting, mate. I think some of the best glow-ups I've ever seen have come through heartbreak.
yeah,
And no one likes getting their heart fucking ripped out.
absolutely not.
I had a mate of mine. He's heavily into fitness. He was in a long-term relationship. He had his heart ripped out, but he channeled that. He went into the gym. He channeled that, and he just had a massive glow up. And I encourage anybody, especially young teenagers or just anyone in general that's just going through a difficult period in their life, that you can channel that in the right direction. And that seems to be what you've done.
Yeah.
You've channeled it in the right direction.
Yeah. And it wasn't just, so there's all those other factors. So, and then, it doesn't have to be getting your heart ripped out. Okay, well, you didn't make a certain representative squad. Okay, sweet. Go to the gym, work on yourself. You're getting, I don't know, your grades aren't too high. You're kind of frustrated with yourself. Okay, go work that frustration out. It's no matter what emotion you have, or no matter what feelings you've got, negatively or positively, you can always make your situation better when you go, and it doesn't have to go to the gym, go for a run, do something that's going to, one, give you endorphins and really boost your mood, and two, go do something that you can work on and improve and just take your mind off what's kind of going on.
Yeah.
Because there was other certain situations, like when I was benched, I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. Okay, I need to go work on myself. Okay, I'm going to go do some more sprints. I'm going to go to the gym, lift heavier weights. Any negative situation I think I've kind of been through, I can kind of, even receiving bad news, family related and stuff like that. You can just, okay, I need to go to the gym. I'm frustrated. I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go lift some heavy weight to kind of get it out of my system, because I feel as though if you don't have a healthy outlet to get that shit out of your system, you kind of build it up until one day
You snap.
and somebody says something wrong. You decide to clock them, but guess what? You've hit the wrong individual.
Yeah.
So.
And that's it. Like it needs to be channeled in a way that's healthy, and I think bodybuilding is an expression. It's an expression of the mind, the body. It's expressing yourself in the best way possible. And I think bodybuilding, if you think of it like it's aesthetic, there's preparation involved, but there is a time frame. So you've got to hit a certain goal if you're competing or something like that. It gives you something to look forward to. It gives you something to work towards. And yeah, I think it's amazing, man. I think more young kids should get into the gym.
Yeah. Well, just the gym, sports in general, martial arts as well. My dad, he's got a black belt in a few different disciplines, and he did start his own thing up. And I kind of got my under him. I got my blue belt under. It was kickboxing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well. That's smart.
Yeah, that's when I was still in primary school. But again, it's just other outlets.
Yeah.
It can give you discipline. It gives you routine. Just something where you can kind of channel energy towards. Like, it doesn't always have to be the gym. The gym just was like mine, but the gym, it fits into so many different sports.
Yeah.
If you need to get stronger for a certain sport, you go to the gym, you lift heavier weight.
Yeah.
You want to look good for whatever reason, you go to the gym, you lift some weight. You want to get better at sports performance, okay, you hit the field, then you hit the gym and lift some weight. So, but I think everybody needs a sort of physical outlet. Let's go with physical outlet to kind of channel their either their energy, their frustration, their creativity towards. Because you are right, like with bodybuilding, I had this discussion with an individual because she was asked whether or not she follows the sport. And she didn't know how to answer it because she knew all about certain federations, certain athletes and pros in federations, but didn't really know too much about AFL, NRL, soccer, and all that stuff. So she wasn't too sure. She says, yes, I do follow a sport. And I kind of chimed in. I said, look, bodybuilding is technically a sport. However, it's also a lifestyle and an art form. Because you have a vision, when it comes to being an art form, you have a vision of how you want to look. You kind of sculpt yourself accordingly. We've all seen Pumping Iron. The artist would take a bit of clay and slap this over. We've got to lift up a dumbbell. It's a sport because you're competing against other individuals, but it's a lifestyle because this is where I got it wrong for so many years of my life. And I wish I knew, again, this is hindsight. I wish I knew this fact when I first started that, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So when I used to compete, I'd be like 20 or 16 weeks out. Okay, well, I'll start my training, I'll start my diet, and as soon as the competition's over, okay, I'll go to the gym when I feel like it, I'll eat whatever I feel like. And then, I want to compete again. Okay, well, 20 weeks out, then we start. And I didn't really kind of wrap my head around the fact that the reason why I wasn't looking as good as the rest of the guys when I first started is because they took it as a lifestyle. I took it as something I had to do for 20 weeks.
Yeah.
That obviously changed, and I'm happy that changed. Now it has become a lifestyle to the stage where there's even been Christmases where I've eaten out of containers because it's just so normal. I can't even eat off a plate anymore because I'll spill the food off the plate.
Yeah.
Cook the food and then put it into a container. Or if there's a large volume of food, I heat it in the container that I've prepped it in, and then I put it into a bigger container to eat it out.
Yeah. Talk to me about that, mate. Talk to me about your preparation. So your training split and leading up to so what was your diet like? How many meals were you eating a day? How many calories? And then also when you start to drastically drop, well, not drastically drop them, but just slowly drop your calories back to start getting that leanness.
Okay, so we'll start with the training split. So I'd recently, at the time, so with the prep that I've just completed, I signed up with a new coach, George Wilson from Flash Success. And it was definitely going to be very, very interesting because I was signing up with a brand new coach who had to learn my body during a prep. Now, normally you sign up with a coach, they learn your body through an off season. He implemented a few, well, I shouldn't say a few, a lot of changes. He took what I was currently eating, kind of changed a few things around, added some food, took away some food. But when I started, we're going into what was called, like, we're going to go for a recomposition phase to see what my body does to restore. Not to restore, just to respond. Sorry. So I think he put me on about, I'd say about 4,000 calories.
Yeah.
So, and at the time, I wasn't eating consistently. I wasn't training consistently. Like, I was trying to get back there, but because I didn't really have a purpose for myself, in order for me to go, I'm either 100% in, I don't half-ass it, or I'm 100% out. I'm not, okay, I'm not maybe, you know. It's always try. Well, what's that quote from the Karate Kid? You know, if you're on the grape on this side of the road doesn't get squished, and the grapes on this side of the road, it doesn't get squished, but if the grapes in the middle, squished.
Is that the original?
The original Karate.
That's a great movie.
That is fantastic, bro. And the Karate, really
Yeah.
the first one. I just don't know how he words it, but basically, essentially, you're either all in, you're all out, but if you're half-assing it,
I think I do remember that.
Yeah.
Quote. Yeah, I have seen the Karate Kid. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm either all in or I'm all out. So if I've got nothing to work towards, then I'm not all in. So I needed that. As soon as I had that goal, I went, right, this is what I'm working towards. Okay, it's time to go all in. But before that, my diet was fluctuating. I was still traveling. I was kind of like eating shit. And I was very upset about it because it's not me, but I didn't have anything to work with. It was just mind games. So he put me on about 4,000 calories. My body started responding very rapidly. So I started dropping a bit of weight. So he increased them. And then I remember when we decided to drop the hammer, but then we started tapering down my calories. I can't remember the increments that we went to because there was a few different changes and a few different refeed days, which was very nice. But I think peak week was around 3,000 calories, or just over, before we started carving up to about 5,000 calories a few days before to start filling out. Which was really nice. It was definitely a new approach, and it wasn't until maybe the week or 2 weeks after I competed where somebody asked me my experience, and thinking back, I've gone, oh my God, this person absolutely peaked me perfectly to the hour. Whereas with previous coaches, I would be ready 3 days out and I'd have to hold conditioning until show day. Whereas with George, I woke up the morning off and I was like, oh, I'm still watery. I'm holding all this. And he told me, bro, it's 3 a.m. in the morning, go to bed. Send me photos. So I had to send him photos every 2 hours on the day. And then as I'm like, okay. And then I basically got to a stage where I kind of got backstage. I'm like, bro, I'm about to go on. He goes, send me photos. I'll tell you whether or not you need to eat. Send him photos. I'm watching all the boys eating their rice cakes, eating their lollies, drinking their honey. Send him photos. He went, no, you're perfect. You don't need food. I went, you sure? But, you know, I'm like, it's normal to eat all this. He goes, no, you don't need food. You're perfect.
Yeah.
He goes, have a few sips of water if you feel like you're not pumping up, if you can't get blood into the area, because obviously you're very depleted and you're very dehydrated.
Yeah.
Had a few sips while I was pumping up, and that was it. Again, for the night show, throughout the day, I think my morning weight before heading down to the show was 108 kilos. Go do all that process, hit stage. Okay, done with the stage. Go back upstairs. Okay, have a meal. Okay, so I've had a meal. Send me photos in 2 hours. Sending photos in 2 hours. Okay, have another meal. Have this much of this much of this. Okay, did that send me photos in 2 hours? Sending photos in 2 hours. And weight and photos. And I'm dropping weight in the afternoon. Sending photos, he goes, no, send me photos in about an hour and a half and check your weight. So I did that. He goes, oh, have half of this meal. Okay, sweet. So I had half of it. It's so fucking hard to eat just half a meal.
Yeah,
Stuff.
Fuck.
I'm happy I was staying at the venue so I could just fall asleep. Go to bed. Send me photos in 2 hours before you head down. Sending photos in 2 hours. He goes, yep, no more food. You're perfect. Head back downstairs. I weigh myself and I dropped a kilo over that time.
Holy shit.
I tightened up. I actually come in more conditioned, tighter for the night show, which was fantastic. And then, again, send me photos before you go pump up. Sending photos before I go pump up. No food. Sip some water if you can't pump up. I did it and I felt like I got fuller. Even though I was a kilo lighter, I just felt just skin tight, wrapped in saline wrap. went out there, absolutely killed it, which was probably the best that I've looked, which is good. In terms of the calories comparisons from this year to last year, I was on significantly lower calories, but I was 4 kilos heavier.
It's interesting.
And I've even going through the photos, I'm just, oh my God, everything's bigger this year.
Yeah. Yeah, you look phenomenal, mate. Like, you look ripped, you look big, you didn't look depleted. I mean, even though you felt like you're fucked. But yeah, you look phenomenal, mate. And there's a science to it, isn't there? There's a massive science learning curve that a lot of people don't understand about bodybuilding. You know, you have to strategically time it. There's meal timing, there's preparation obviously involved, but there's the idea of water loading and dropping back water.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And it was a completely different approach. And because I'm not used to it, I was kind of a little bit, like I said, when I woke up the game day, I'm like, I'm still holding on to water. Oh my God, I fucked this.
Yep.
And my coach has gone, no, this was the plan. Okay, I trust you. No worries, I'll go back to sleep. Because I'm so used to Wednesday waking up a few days before, I'm like, I'm on.
Yeah.
I'm on. There's no water on me. There's no fat on me right now.
Yeah.
And then just having to hold that for a few extra days and then compete, as opposed to just getting it right on the time. So it was definitely a good experience.
Yeah. Run me through your diet, Kyle. So what was breakfast? What did you have first thing?
Because I trained first thing in the morning, I'd wake up, obviously do fasted weight. You know, if it was Monday, do check-ins, blood glucose levels. So we do your little finger prick and then test the blood to see what the blood glucose levels are.
Is that a machine that you have at your place? Or
Yeah. So it's because there's something I'm very familiar with, because my mother's mum, so my grandmother, she had diabetes. So you'd always watch her, you know, before each meal, she'd prick her finger, put the tab in the machine, and then put the blood on the tab, and it'd say how high your blood glucose levels are.
Yep.
Blood pressure. Every morning, I document that for the coach on his app. Then I'd start the day off with 100 grams of fresh pineapple.
Interesting.
I love it. First thing in the morning. And then something that people have kind of picked up, especially off my social media, I love my Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
So I'd have, you know, if it wasn't a refeed day, about 100 grams. I think it dropped to as low as 70 grams of Fruit Loops in the morning with some protein, like obviously some protein powder and some water.
For Fruit Loops in the morning? Really?
This is before I'd go train.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So then I'd let it settle, help pre-workout, go hit a gym session up, and then my post-workout would be protein powder, creatine, and some blueberries. And I normally eat that on my drive to work. Then meal one would be, from memory, maybe I'd say two or three whole eggs, 2 or 3 English muffins, and 50 grams of avocado, which is fucking delicious. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. I love my breakfast, my proper breakfast. Then after that would be turkey mince, not turkey breast mince, turkey mince, rice, carrot, beetroot. I love that.
Yeah.
I can punish that meal. Then the meal after that would be beef mince, that 90-10 split, so lean beef mince, pickles, which again that was an interesting sort of combo. Very nice. Yeah. Capsicum and rice. We chose rice as a major carb source because it's easy to prep. I didn't have to this is rice, this is potato.
Yeah.
So
all the fucking potatoes. And,
then the meal after that was a chicken breast. So chicken breast, cucumber, tomato, some lettuce, and some rice. Oh, I had 100 grams of pineapple in my mince meal. Sorry, I forgot about that. So I'd have 200 grams of pineapple a day, essentially.
Yeah.
And then before I'd go to bed, I'd have 140 grams of tuna, some zucchini, some spinach, and some kiwi fruit.
Yes. Yeah. And what about you obviously mentioned protein powder, but any other supplementation? Like were you taking high doses of magnesium? Because sometimes also, during a prep as well, it can be very taxing on your body. And magnesium is an extremely important mineral. It's responsible for 300 biochemical reactions in the body.
Yeah.
With bodybuilding prep, it's arduous, it's exhausting, it's tiring, but also, sometimes in times of stress, you do deplete a lot of magnesium. Did you have a high dosage of magnesium?
Yeah, I did actually. So specifically it would have, say, magnesium, I think it's pronounced cellate, because it's an amino acid. So that's magnesium attached to an amino acid.
Yes.
So that one was very particular. So I'd have one serving of that and some ashwagandha post workout.
Yeah.
And then I'd also have that same thing plus some melatonin before I'd go to sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was getting at least 2 serves of it a day. So about 8 capsules a day.
Yeah. And what about sleep? Because sleep's going to be king for recovery and especially in a cut. Sometimes as well, it can sort of inhibit your sleep cycle a little bit. How are you sleeping?
What little sleep I did manage to get, because
You had a lot going on.
I had a lot going on, so I think I would, and I had a Whoop at the time. I lost the battery, so I haven't I've lost the battery charger, so I don't have the Whoop on me. But I got it because I went, okay, I see how good my recovery is. It didn't give me anxiety, because I know some people get it and like it made them sleep shit because of their anxiety. Was I had, let's see how fucked up my sleep really.
Yes.
So the days that I'd actually managed to get over 5 hours of sleep were phenomenal.
Yeah.
But if we could track it, on average, I think 3.5 to 4.5 hours of sleep. But because I was so physically exhausted, by the time my head hit the pillow, that was me until my alarm.
Yeah.
So I was pretty lucky that I didn't have the waking up, because I have experienced them before. You wake up, your stomach hurts because you're so hungry. But I was just too freaking exhausted for my body to give a shit about hunger.
Yeah.
Which was good.
What have you found differently about this prep in comparison to other preps you've done?
Whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, how much I can actually fit, and how well I can utilize my time. That's something I've really, really found out about myself during this prep.
Yes.
I've also found out, well, I wouldn't say I've found out, because you always experience with every prep that I've done, but there was 2 audio books that stood out that I listened. Whenever I'm in prep mode, the amount of knowledge that I'm willing to sort of receive or uptake, or however you want to put it, is amazing. And there was 2 books that I listened to because I had one of the hard copies at home, and because of it, I was like, that looks like an interesting book. However, I don't have the time to sit down and read it. But I'm constantly moving. I can listen to it while I'm doing my cardio, when I'm walking around Forest Lake. One of it is Winning by Tim Grover. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with that one.
I've heard of that book. Yeah.
So Tim Grover, he was the trainer for Michael Jordan.
Yes.
So I listened to that one, and phenomenal. But he referenced to his first book, Relentless.
Right.
So those 2 there, and like more so in Relentless, I believe, more so in Relentless, or was it Winning? I can't remember which one, but they both kind of touched on where you've got to kind of take yourself in order to get where you get your goal. So like he'd use Michael Jordan as an example. They'd call it this dark place, whereas essentially when Michael left his house or the hotel, he would put himself into, MJ, you know what I mean? And then when he'd get home, he'd take himself out of that persona. But that persona, they would kind of reference it as the dark place or the dark zone or something like that. Yeah. So actually listening to that, and realizing and thinking back and reflecting on every time I get to a certain stage of my prep, I basically have to shut myself off.
Yes.
To purely focus on this. And when I did, I was more efficient. I felt like just the goal was to just kill it every time. So that's something else that I didn't initially learn, but at least I put a name to that.
Yeah.
That mental space that I kind of switch into. Because I've always known once I get to a certain thing, I just flip a switch and then I go full into it. But I never really had the correct terminology or name that you'd call that sort of place that you can't put yourself into. And it's just like the blinders are on. Anything could happen. And a lot of shit did happen that I had to put on the back burner until after, because I was just like so entrenched in what I was doing. Because something that was very different with this prep is I had a deadline for my diploma, and it was the week after.
Oh, wow.
And because I put a lot of stuff off during my diploma, and just all of a sudden they said, look, you've got until this date to have everything done. Otherwise, everything you've done doesn't fall under the new curriculum that's coming out from this date, which means you'll either have to enroll again or drop out. But you still owe us this money. And if you enroll, you'll have to pay again.
Yeah.
So it was all just, okay, everything. Okay, I've got to fit in the walk, then I've got to do class, then I've got to massage these people after class, and I've got to get trained, I've got to do this, I've got to meal prep, and I've got to go get my grocery shop. And it was just dark zone, locked in, no excuses, have to do something that I want to do and have to do something that I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just have to immerse yourself in it, don't you? Like when you have a specific goal and you just block out other distractions, and I mean, not into the point where you just completely block out family, but there is this hard juggling act that you have to do, because if you've got a spouse, if you've got kids, you've got study, you've got work, you've got so many fucking things going on. It can be difficult to juggle everything all at once, but how are you managing to juggle everything all at once? You know, because you said you're in a relationship and you've got your family and you've got goals and opportunities, the possibility of opening up your own gym and stuff like that, which I want to talk to you about that in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do you manage to juggle all that?
Well, it's okay. So I think one of the guys that I work with on the weekend, he's a counselor, psychologist. And I remember, I was just doing something about having somebody actually put terminology towards it. It's called I think it's called the Eisenhower method.
Yep.
So that's when you go through everything and then you kind of prioritize it. So you go, okay, priority with a deadline, priority without a deadline. Yes, this is kind of priority, but not necessarily essential for the time being. And then shit, that's not essential. So essentially what I subconsciously did before I was made aware of there was a name to this, it was okay, what is priority with a deadline? It's obviously my prep, my diploma. What's priority that doesn't have a deadline? I'm just growing my business and coming up with other ways of doing this stuff and checking all these boxes for the gym. Okay, sweet. What's something, and work, sorry. And then just basically taking all these things and putting into these boxes. And then I'd put more time into obviously the ones that get the deadline, a little bit more time into this one than this one, and then fuck all time in shit that didn't really matter at the time and probably still doesn't.
Yeah.
And then as the weeks got closer and closer to comp, my energy got lower and lower. I literally just kind of slowly started just focusing on the one box that had the ones with the deadline on it. I am very fortunate with my partner who's been through a prep with me, who knows a lot about, but we actually I explained this before, we bonded over bodybuilding. So she knows what to expect. So she was very understanding and was absolutely fantastic because, she ensured that there was no stress at home, which was fantastic. The washing was done, the house was clean. And I know a lot of people kind of try to make me feel bad about it, but at the same time, I was never at home. I would come home and she'd be asleep. And that's even on the weekends. I'd come home and she'd be asleep. And she really held down the fort. So She was really fantastic with that and just being understanding. My parents who have been through multiple play, they're a little understanding. All my mates, they kind of experienced it last year and they knew what to kind of expect and they were all supportive. A lot of them actually come to the show. Yeah. A lot of my clients, some of my clients actually come to the show as well, which actually meant the world to me because Brisbane, they had to pay for tickets, they had to drive down, they had to stay for the day.
It was down the Gold Coast?
It was down the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So everybody around me kind of were a little bit aware because they've either experienced it with me the year prior, or now actually having the maturity and the hindsight to kind of explain to those who are new in my circle, hey, I'm going to be doing this. If I'm a little bit brain dead, if I don't say hello at the gym when you're walking past, do not take it personally. I'm just in another world of hell right now.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a few times that we walked past each other. I was like, yeah, okay.
No, I completely understand, mate. Like my whole family revolves around bodybuilding, fitness and martial arts. If you have a look just over here, mate, I've got the 2000 Olympic Games.
Yeah, I saw that.
Olympic torch, my granddad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, competed in the 52 games and also he's Commonwealth Games gold medalist.
Shit.
Yeah.
The pedigree.
So my whole family, mate, I understand completely. And my uncles are bodybuilders. My brother's competed in numerous shows and won numerous shows, mate. So it's a very individualized thing because not many people do understand it. But the people that do understand it, they can empathize, mate. They understand where the fuck you're coming from.
Yeah.
And that's important. I mean, you mentioned you have a partner that's very supportive and it can be difficult sometimes because I was like watching a documentary on Dorian Yates, 6-time Mr. Olympia.
Yeah. Is that Blood and Guts?
Blood and Guts. That's another, there was another one he was watching. It's his most recent one, but he said he slipped into a little bit of depression after he competed and finished because you're in a world where it's individualized. It's all about you, but See, if you have a team behind you, it can just make it so much easier.
Yeah.
You need people around like that, especially when you're mentally and cognitively fucked.
Yeah.
All there.
Oh,
You need a support team, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Talk to me about the process of you working with people with disabilities, because this is interesting, mate. I like what you're doing with this. But what sparked your interest in the possibility of opening up a gym?
Well, when I first started training people out of World Gym, I did kind of want to get into training young men, so teenage, high school age boys, just simply because it's something that I wish. Actually, no, not I wish. I had somebody do that for me when I first started in the gym. When I first started in the gym when I was 16, I had David Boyle, who at the time was the strength and conditioning coach for the West Tigers, mentor me through the gym. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and obviously look where it's led. But also, when I was at the Dragons, I was a teacher's aide for troubled primary school boys. And so sometimes I did high school years as well. And I just felt as though they just needed a little bit of discipline, a little bit of routine. What better way to be accountable, rocking up for a gym session? But also, whilst I was at the Dragons as well, not only was I working with troubled youths, but I was working with people with disabilities, and that's something I do have a passion towards. Like, I absolutely love it. Even at my Magic Men shows, as soon as I clock somebody, hey, let's get a photo. So happy you're here. Like, I go from being this big, scary, intimidating individual to this, hey, like teddy bear, I guess you could say, because we alluded to this just before we started. Like, myself and my brother, we're both on the spectrum, so we're both neurodivergent, Asperger's, autism, not ADHD, which is good. I don't think my parents could have dealt with it.
ADHD.
It's something I've always been passionate about, helping individuals with. And I was going to start at the gym. I do train a family, and a lot of them are on the spectrum. And I do have a client that's roughly around our age who does have ADHD. And what I was finding is it's very daunting to train people in a packed gym.
Yes.
And if they really had special needs, like if they're on a wheelchair, or if they had some form of injury or physical disability, training them at peak hour is just,
it's chaos.
It's chaos. And then people with neurodivergency, or people who are neurodivergent, could be very on edge and have high anxiety levels when it's packed. I have high anxiety levels when it's packed, and I work there.
Yep.
So I thought, I met this person, Natalie. She's my business partner, who is a counselor and has a lot to do with the NDIS. And originally, she thought it would be good for me to go to schools and speak to young boys, because we'd met. She said, I think you'd be a really good role model for young guys, because you've kind of got, no decent role models. Guys are being told to cry, to not cry. It's all this other stuff, and there is some things we kind of disagree on, but she really felt that I would be a really good role model for teenage boys. She actually told her 13-year-old son the day after we first met to follow me on social media, which was huge. That's a massive compliment. And then we sat down, we spoke. I got to meet her whole family, who's the family that I train, and then it kind of went from, hey, you should be doing this speaking, to, hey, maybe you should be working with them a little bit more. And then I've gone, you know what? I was kind of, at the time, feeling a little bit flustered within gym because of how packed it is. I said, look, I need my own space.
Yes.
That I can dedicate purely towards people who I feel as though need it more. Not more in a sense, but just I feel as though it could really give a positive impact. And just make, you know what I mean? Because if you've ever met somebody who does have a disability, they find it hard to do day-to-day things.
Yep.
So sometimes even just a little, like when I was with the Dragons and they'd have an open day, like even them meeting their favorite player, that made their absolute year. If one of their favorite NRL players come up and said hello. And so I thought, if I had this space where I get a handful of them in, either in a group or one at a time, and just put them through a bit of a workout in their own little space that's just purely for them, then it kind of helped them I don't even know how to explain it. Obviously, it's going to help them physically, but mentally, and so that's where that kind of idea kind of spawned from. And we picked up the keys a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. And after this, we're going to go look at some gym equipment.
Yes. So is it going to be structured like an actual gym, like with dumbbells, free weights, barbells, or is it going to have like more, therapeutic kind of equipment?
It's gonna be a bit of both, because it's something that I definitely, that was one of the agreements with my business partner. I said, look, it's going to be a proper gym. They're going to have that full proper gym experience. I don't want, you know how you get the personal training studios where they've got dumbbells up to like 12 kilos, cross trainer, treadmill. No. We'll have that, but we'll have weights. It'd be a place that I would love to train out of, because
It's legit.
It's legit. I don't want it to be a space that is literally, it's a legit gym only open for those specific individuals.
Yes.
It's going to have a treatment room upstairs where I can conduct remedial massage therapy, because I think there is some studies showing that, massage therapy can help with, autistic kids through the relaxation massage, even if who suffer from injuries or come back from rehab and stuff like that. So there's a space for them to get treated, to use the gym, and then obviously other sort of therapies that can be very, very beneficial for people with disabilities.
Yeah. One thing I learned about you, bro, is you have a lot of compassion and empathy with your clients. And I think more people, especially in the fitness industry, need to emulate on what you're doing, because you're very much focused and you're in tune with your clients' training. You're in tune with their reps. You're present with them. What do you think is lacking in the fitness industry today? We've gone a little bit backwards, but what do you think needs to be corrected?
This is a very interesting question, actually. I feel as though with the introduction and expansion of social media, definitely, like, obviously it's a great marketing tool. And it's something that I struggle to use marketing myself for my own coaching business. So everyone that I've got is either word of mouth or they've seen the value. However, I do feel as though if you look at not the major ones, but just some that are out there, you just see it's just them. It's just them. They're basically utilizing it as a platform to promote themselves.
All for clout.
For clout.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing? No, each to their own. But I definitely do see. Remember that scandal back a few years ago? I'm not going to say the individual, the company, but they got found out because this individual was handing out cookie cutter training programs.
I heard something about that.
Yeah. Cookie cutter training programs was the exact same training program for the individual, but during time before he got busted, it blew him up. Here's this online personal training coach, this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden got dusted that, hey, or it wasn't even him that did it. It was like his mum or his girlfriend. He hired these other individuals to do up these nutrition programs and stuff like that. So, but the main goal I feel for that individual is he wanted to use this to kind of get himself big on social media, because obviously everybody wants to be a fucking celebrity now.
Yes.
And you do see, like you said before, it's the onus isn't, or the importance isn't necessarily on the client, it's more so on the trainer.
Yes. Yeah.
So you see these individuals that the way that I tell any new potential clients is like, I'm a coach and not a personal trainer. A personal trainer, what's the difference? Personal trainer is somebody who will put you through, 45 minutes, half hour session, not give an absolute shit about you, take your money. And once their bank account is running a bit low, they'll be like, hey, I haven't seen you. You're going to come in for another session? I need that money. Yeah. Whereas a coach is somebody who you hold them accountable for holding you accountable.
Yes. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So covenant and agreement that you have.
That is absolutely correct. And I'm actually transitioning. I'm not saying I'm the best at it. I'm still learning. I was out of the game as a personal trainer for almost 12 years, and I've come back in, and back when I first started, personal trainer was a personal trainer. There's no such thing as a coach or a lifestyle coach. Was a lifestyle coach. But now I'm learning, and I've kind of got my coach as a mentor, and I've got all these other, courses that I'm doing to kind of improve myself. But one thing that I do really, really well is I do care about my clients. I do treat them.
Yeah, I've seen you, mate. Yeah, you are. You're very compassionate.
I've got them all on social media. I speak to a lot of them daily. I react to their stories. They react to my stories. So I don't look at it as a purely, client. I'm the hierarchy, if that makes sense. And even some of the Magic Men boys that I work with are now coach.
Yes.
And those relationships started off as friends, but they see, hey, like this guy knows what he's talking about. And, I just want to see, I think when I first got back into it, I looked at everything that I've been able to achieve. I just want to see people do good, because I was never promised anything. Nobody's ever promised anything. But I've done a hell of a lot that I'm proud of. I've played professional rugby league at a certain level. I've featured in magazines. I've featured on romance novel covers. I travel around Australia and get paid to do it. I get to perform in front of crowds. I've won bodybuilding shows. I've won a pro show. And it all comes down to sort of the fact that I've managed to live this very fit, healthy lifestyle. And I would absolutely love for everybody else to have their own success story, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I've managed to forge my own success story, and I'm still forging it. It's not done.
Nah.
There's still more that I want to accomplish, but I feel as though part of me building my success story is helping others build their success story.
Yes.
And that's where I kind of, really get behind my clients. Like I've had my first client that I picked up when I was at Mount Gravatt. He started literally a year ago, and how he looks now is insane.
Yeah.
I see him twice a week, every week, and he's absolutely insane, and he's become a really good friend. He's actually one of the ones who actually come down and watch me compete, which is awesome.
Yes.
But then you've kind of got these other personal trainers that look at their clients like paycheck, or a way to not live, a way to not have to work a 9 to 5. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying there's some out there.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad, because I feel as though it's more rewarding when you're invested in the individual, and the individual is successful.
Yeah.
In whatever they're trying to achieve. It makes you feel like you've done something positive.
100%. Yeah, no, definitely. I think more people, especially in the fitness industry, can adopt that mindset like you do. And I do. I think some of the most successful trainers, like if you look at Nick Mitchell, who owns Ultimate Performance Center, he owns these worldwide multi-millionaire, started off as a personal trainer, but he got his clients to fall in love with greens. But he gets inside their minds. He's with them every step of the way. You mentioned the difference between a personal trainer and a coach. You guys both signed an agreement together. I'm in this every step of the way just as much as you are. You've just got to meet me halfway. Yeah. But you also express compassion and empathy and understanding. But at the same time, you generally do want to go above and beyond to really help your clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. I think a lot of that has led to sort of myself wanting to further my education, just for my own better understanding, but also then being able to have that knowledge and then pass it on to somebody else. Like I've said before, like in this video or this podcast several times, I'm going to coach. I feel like it's worth it. The amount of information that I've learned from all my coaches over the time, whether it being rugby league, bodybuilding coaches, or the several bodybuilding coaches that I've had, I've managed to pick up useful information, which I've then been able to translate and use for my clients.
Yes.
And some of them have nothing to do with fitness. A lot of it can have to do with mindset. Like I was feeling a little bit down about my certain situation with bodybuilding and stuff like that after receiving some feedback. I went, okay, this feedback was a little harsh. How did I win? And then my current coach, he spent 15 minutes on basically the mental aspect of it. It was a 20-minute check-in video, feedback video, and he spent 15 minutes on ensuring where my mind needs to be. And he basically said, you need to wake up a pro. You need to do everything. You've got this label ahead of you. If you want to be, like, for instance, he basically said, if you want to be CEO, you're going to act like a CEO when you're one, or you're going to act like a CEO before you're one.
You put it into practice. Yeah. Yeah.
Why not start acting like a CEO so that when you become a CEO, you know exactly what you need to do? And even just having coaches that sort of tackle the mental side of the game kind of really, really helps, because I'm like, this makes sense. I can use this information. And then a client comes and seems to be exuding the same sort of issue that I was suffering from. Sweet. I know what helped me. hey, have you thought about doing this? Hey, have you thought about thinking it from this situation? So I think it's good to have coaches
Yeah. Having proper mentors
or mentors.
is important. It really is. Yeah. What's Magic Men? Talk to me about that, mate. I think all the ladies, I'm sure they might be watching this, and I'm sure some of the guys are very interested to hear about what goes on at these shows. Yeah.
Okay, so on top of being a professional bodybuilder, I am also a male entertainer. I'm a dancer. So Magic Men is a company that was started down in Melbourne by a few of the Melbourne boys. It is essentially male entertainment show.
It's like Magic Mike.
It's like Magic Mike.
Yeah.
It's like Magic Mike, but all Australian. So I joined Magic Men when I first moved to Brisbane. I'd been working as a male entertainer for several years before moving up, and I thought I was going to give it up until I moved to Brisbane and realised how expensive it is to move interstate.
Yeah. Expensive, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Expensive. Oh, yeah.
So I reached out to the owner of Magic Men, who's down in Melbourne, Carlos. We've known of each other for a few years, but I've never worked for him. I worked for other different agencies and stuff like that. But I did reach out to him and said, hey, look, I've moved to Brisbane. If you've got any work going, more than happy to take that if you need. And that's where it kind of all started. Originally, it started off as a way to kind of help make back all the money that I spent moving. And then I met all the guys and started doing all the shows, and I become for financial and then social gain. And now I'm at a level where I get to, the last 3 Fridays, excluding this one, so the last 3 Fridays, I've traveled around Australia, interstate, which is a real experience to get taken around Australia and paid to do something that I purely love doing. Even from a young age, I always liked the fact of being entertaining and entertaining people. Like when you don't grow up good looking and built with muscles, sometimes you just got to develop a personality, and you kind of enjoy making people laugh, making people smile, just purely entertaining individuals. I found when I first moved to Sydney and I needed a little bit of extra income, I started there, which was awkward at the beginning, as you do, because I don't have a dancing background.
Yeah.
But then slowly started learning and getting good at it. Then moving up here, and it really it took off. Almost every weekend I had work. I'd go do hens parties, go do the show, which is fantastic. And now that I'm at that stage where I get to travel around Australia and do it, which is really humbling, because there was a point in my life where I never thought I'd ever be able to travel around Australia, let alone the world, and get paid to do it, because I've had a few bad experiences when I've gone on holiday. I had a holiday once where I kind of quit my job and they refused to pay me my last week. So I was actually up at the Gold Coast expecting my last paycheck. They went, you. And they didn't pay me. So I ended up having to leave my holiday like 3 or 4 days early because I had no money. So and I said to myself, I'm never going to be, I kind of put a limit on myself or a boundary on myself. So I don't think I'm ever going to be at a level financially where I'll be able to travel around and be able to afford to do it. So I'm not going to do it. No holidays, just work. But now I've kind of found the best of both worlds, where I get to travel.
Yeah.
And I get to work.
So how long does the show go for? About 2 hours?
About 2 hours, 2.5 hours. We had one up in Darwin, which is last weekend, which was huge. It was the second biggest show that I've done this year, 650 girls.
Wow. All girls or some guys too?
There's always going to be some guys there. But yeah. We appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%.
They appreciate the show more than the girls. Some
they do, yeah.
And so the largest one I've done this year was 750. That was down in Canberra.
Wow.
That was epic.
Yeah.
But the 650 in Darwin were just next level. Trying to seat them was just insane.
Yeah, what are those shows? They must get pretty rowdy.
It took us an hour and a half to seat the girls, and so we're running over by half an hour.
Yeah.
And even we had to be like, look, they've got to come in, they can stand, and then we'll try to seat them at one of the breaks, because there were so many. But the show normally goes for about 2 hours, maybe a little bit over, and then you stay back, you get photos taken, because you feel like an absolute rock star sometimes. They just want photos with you. They've got calendars you want to sign, or they got pictures they want to sign. I went down to Adelaide this year. And I don't know how they did it, but there was lollipops of me.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know how they did it, because the photo that they used is a really, really, really old photo from my social media that's not even on the Magic Men website.
Yeah.
And like, it wasn't just me. There was obviously other guys, but me being brand new to the thing, I'm not at the level of, you know, the Channing Tatum lookalike, Will, Caesar, Jackson, Sean, all the Melbourne boys. They're all social media, you know, icons within the industry. I'm just some nobody who's brand new. Has only been doing it for a year. And there's somebody has made a handful of lollipops with my photo on it.
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure I got one at home, which is pretty cool. But it's definitely helped financially. It's definitely helped fund my idea of this gym that we're putting together.
Yeah,
which is really good. So at least there's a bit of a purpose between I'm doing it for fun, but I'm also doing it to help fuel this other thing, because I know I can't strip forever. I'm gonna get older. At some stage, somebody's gonna be like, "You'll put your clothes back on." Doesn't happen yet.
Yeah.
Until that happens, once that happens, I'll probably have to stop. Yeah.
So preparation and choreography, and how long does that take leading up to a show?
Well, I've never really done any until joining Magic Man.
Yeah.
And then I think once a week we normally catch up. The Brisbane and the Gold Coast boys, we normally catch up. 1 week we'll be up here, 1 week we'll be down there. Normally on a Sunday, just to brush up on everybody's routine, because that was something brand new that I had to get used to, is I had to learn somebody else's routine. They had what was called backups.
Yeah.
So it's much more than that old generic one person does his thing for 15 minutes and the next person does his thing for 15 minutes. It's you go up there, you've got a few boys doing it, and then one splits off and the rest kind of go off stage and get ready for their own song.
Yeah.
So sometimes it takes a couple of hours and normally it's on a Sunday. Normally it's a Sunday afternoon once everybody's kind of recovered from the Saturday night work. Coming up to Christmas, obviously we've kind of dropped off a little bit. Some guys have got to put together new routines, but normally we get to the show an hour before doors open to kind of help set up, you know, put names on seats and go over the run sheet. You know, what are we going to do in the breaks? Who's going first? Who's going last? Who's going to be in his backups? Who's going to be in his backups? And just really sort the show out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I could imagine the shows, it'd be exciting, but at the same time, mate, you've got 650 women screaming. Yeah, it's fun, I'm sure, but it must be pretty chaotic sometimes, yeah?
Yeah, it really is. And sometimes I get nervous. Sometimes the boys get nervous.
Yeah.
But again, as soon as it's time for me to hit the stage, I find myself flipping that switch, and then it's like I fall into a character sometimes. I feel like it cheapens it when I say character, because I feel when I say character, it means something that's made up. When the character that I play is just, it's me, but it's another part of me. And sometimes I feel like I'm catfishing the women because I've got to be open. But sometimes when the show's done, my social battery is dead. I just want to go. Like my head's down and like, oh, let's do this. And I go from this really outgoing individual to this more introvert.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I'm still yet to figure out what I am. I think one of the boys put it to me. He goes, "You're an introvert with extrovert sort of traits."
Yeah.
And I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Mate, like when you're on stage, you're extroverted. You're involving with the crowd, because I react to the crowd. I kind of the crowd involves. But then when you're not on stage, you're head down, walking, doing absolutely everything to not get attention to you." But he said it's so very hard for you to not get attention when you're one of the tallest, biggest guys that we've got walking around.
Yeah. You see the tallest and biggest on stage?
I don't know if I'm the tallest, but I think out of all the guys I've been told, I'm only going off what I've been told.
Yeah.
That I am the biggest that they've got.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
And what about
I may not be the best looking, but the biggest. So
what about romance novels? How did this spark?
That come out of left field for me. So it did. I remember, so I met my really good friend David. He's down in Melbourne. He's a model. He's a fucking handsome man. I'm so happy that he's gay, because he'd leave no women for him. I'm so happy. And I look at him like a brother and a mentor, especially when I first started kind of getting into a bit of modeling. And I remember doing it wasn't a podcast, but he did a live Instagram interview with me when it comes to, because he's very big on anti-bully stuff. And he interviewed me and to get to know my experience with being on the spectrum and my experience in school with bullying and being on the spectrum and stuff like that. And one of his really good friends is a really well-known photographer, especially within that realm of, shooting for romance novel covers. Michelle, she saw that. She reached out, and she's got a few kids on the spectrum, which is really good. Spoke a little bit of my experience, things that my mum did to help, and my mum's experience, my family's experience, my experience, and all that stuff, certain situations. And then I think a few months later, I'm just at work, and she sent me a message, and she said, "Hey, did you want to be on a romance novel cover? Because this author was looking for a guy for this, and I sent her a photo of you, and she chose you," which is a big thing. Because how it works is you either do a shoot with a photographer, and then you do a whole bunch of different looks, which is what I ended up doing after I shot for that specific one with Michelle. And then they hit up the photographer, "Hey, what images do you have?" And then kind of go through, "Oh, well, this image is nice. I like him." And it's kind of like pre-pay, like pre-shot images. Whereas this one here, the author hand selected me, which is, humbling to say the least. And then you do a bit of research on who the author is, and her name is A.L. Jackson. She's a top seller, New York Times top-selling romance novel author, which is insane. And I spoke to David about it, and he was telling me, like, for an author, a big author like that, for it to be my first cover is something really big. So a couple of weeks, I think the week after, I flew down to Melbourne, shot for it, and yeah, it was a brand new experience. So it was a boy-girl shoot, and it's something that I wasn't used to, because normally I've done clothing, I've done solo underwear, I've done ones with girls before, but it's like street clothing.
Yeah, right.
This one here, we had to depict like we were lovers within seconds of meeting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was very interesting.
So is the romance novel, like, is the story about you, or what?
The story is not about me. The story is actually, the book is the fourth in a collection. Now, I've got the book at home. I haven't read it yet.
No.
Because it's the fourth in the collection. You're going to go through 1 through 4.
Yeah.
However, I was told that this book wasn't originally going to be written by the author. However, the character that I play and the female that on the cover with me plays, Megan's her name. They were very popular background characters in these other books that people were just writing, and we want to know Philo and Tessa's story. So she ended up writing that book, and then when Michelle was sending her the photos, I'm pretty sure, well, from what I was told, the author basically went, he looks like, he's what I describe what mine looks like in the book.
Yes.
So, that's like, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Like Fabio.
I remember Fabio.
Yeah. 80, the hair and stuff.
Hair.
Yeah.
I remember the hair.
And there was that advertisement, the butter ad, or
I think, what, I saw heaps of books that Mum had with him on the front cover.
No, if you look at 50 Shades of Grey, they're such, worldwide popular books, because they tell a story, but at the same time, it's that fantasy. Yeah, they're a big seller.
It's opened me up to a whole new world that I didn't know existed. Wow.
%.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So what's on the agenda for you, mate? So you've got the gym opening up, and is there, are you looking to do more comps next year?
Yeah, so the World Show is going to be next year. So FMG's first ever World Show is going to be down the Gold Coast, September. Yeah. So at the moment, I think I'm 2 weeks into my off season, which is good because I've never had a bodybuilding off season before.
Yeah.
Like I've alluded to before, I'd fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
20 weeks out.
Have a bit of junk.
Have junk food. Yeah. Not want to train.
Yeah.
Have health issues and injury. The plan is to get a little bit bigger, work on the feedback that I was given. Do that. Utilize my massage diploma next year. I haven't used it yet, just simply because I'm just still trying to juggle around the gym and all this other stuff. So kind of lean into that a little bit more in the new year. Hopefully build up my coaching business and my training business alongside with the gym. Hoping to have the gym up and running by end of January.
Fantastic. So yeah, it's exciting, mate. I'm super pumped for you, and what you're doing is incredible. Giving back to the community, but more importantly, you're helping people with special needs, disability, and what better way to go, mate? Someone like you that's just such a good role model in the fitness space, which is pretty fucking incredible.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So you're on the socials, mate, and you're also at World Gym. So if anyone wants to book a session with you, or do they just DM you? Or
Just, DM me. So I think my social media is easy to find. It's _Kyle Martens.
yes,
My full name. That should be the first one that comes up.
yeah,
Think
yeah.
so. I'd hope so.
Nah,
No.
mate. Super excited to see how you go next year, and what a fantastic journey you've been on, man. And all the best in the future. But yeah, mate, thank you so much for jumping on and taking the time out of your day.
Thanks for having me, man. And when we open up this gym, man, we'll have you around.
100%, man.
Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.